All right. So I am very excited today because I am pretty sure today or tomorrow we are going to be posting the MIP 21 video, medical interpretation practice video 21 to Patreon. Upon checking like 5 minutes ago, we still had 48 likes. Remember that we're trying to reach 50 likes so we can post that on Patreon. So we only have too little likes left, and for YouTube we still have halfway to go, a little bit more than halfway, 52 likes to post this video on YouTube. Remember that the video that we are trying to get to, hold on, I got my little thing right here. The video that we're trying to get to 100 likes is prepare for the CCHI, which I will be posting a link somewhere up here and then a link in the description. So make sure to give your like to that video so we can post the MIP 21 to YouTube. And that is not all. Once we reach 100 likes and we post MIP 21 to YouTube, once we reach 100 likes for the prepare for the CCHI video and we post MIP 21 to YouTube, we are going to let you comment. Anything you want to comment on that video is fair game. And afterwards, we are going to pick a comment at random, and we are going to pick two winners. Those two winners are going to be sent exclusive links to MIP 22, which has not even been released yet. It'll probably not be released when they have it, so they are going to get those exclusive links, and they are going to be able to record their interpretation and send it over to us. That way we can provide them with some feedback. So I am very excited about this, and I am pretty sure that we're gonna get the MIP 21 in Patreon either today or tomorrow. So let's get started. Hello and welcome to Unwind Sessions, where right after my shift I give the highlights of my workday and answer any questions that might have been asked at a previous session. My name is Juan. I am an English, Spanish, medical, video, remote consecutive interpreter with over 4 years of experience. Today is Tuesday, August 3rd, 2021, and today I took a total of 29 sessions. Like always, a mix between video and audio sessions, more video sessions than everything else, with a little bit of a mix of audio sessions just to be able to relax a little bit. I don't know what I would do without those audio sessions. They are like heaven to me. So moving on to the highlights of today, I only have one highlight, which I was so surprised about this highlight. And yesterday, while I was giving the definitions for dentistry, I came upon a word which I didn't know, and I told you that I shared on this video, and that word is ancillary. And I have it right here for anybody that is interested in that. Ancillary, and the translation could be auxiliar o complementario, auxiliar or complementario. And what does ancillary mean? It means providing necessary support to the primary activities or operation of an organization, institution, industry, or system. So remember that the definition for a oral or dental hygienist, or just plain old hygienist, was that he is an ancillary. So he is an auxiliary or somebody that supports a dentist. And honestly guys, I cannot leave a word undefined. I just have to know, like, it just digs into my mind and it like makes a nest in there, and it just makes me have to look up the word. But right now we live in the era of information, so thank God that we have Google, right? So every word that I see, I just Google it up. Of course, yesterday I couldn't Google it because I was on the video. And I mean, you don't know to the great lengths that I go to whenever a provider doesn't want to spell a word for me, or they don't define a word. They're just like, oh, just say it in English, she'll understand. And then you say what you understood, and then you never find that word. Well, that has happened only once or twice because I'm digging for that word. I'm using all of the resources. I'm like looking for vocabulary. If it was what's it called? Well, any medical profession, cardiac session, like a cardiology session, and I will look cardiology terminology and just look for something that sounds similar. And you don't know, like my mind does not stay, does not settle down, does not calm down until I know the definition of a word. So I hate it when a provider doesn't clue me in and he just leaves me hanging. I just hate that. But just for future reference, any word that I do not happen to know during any of the unwind sessions, you'll know that I'll let you know what that word is on the next session. So what is the highlight that I wanted to share with you guys today? It finally happened. I cannot believe it. Like honestly, in my whole 4 years and a half, a little bit more over 4 years and a half of being an interpreter, I have seen this in textbooks. I have seen it so many times in note-taking stuff, and they have a symbol for it, which is like 3 dots. If you're Mexican or Chicano, you probably know that 3 dots means la vida loca. You know, just 3 little dots in a triangle. Like, maybe I could do it right here. Oh, I have my little LCD board, right? I forgot about that, and there's space. So it's just like that, and they tell you in the textbooks to actually make those 3 little dots to mean therefore. All right, and honestly, I've seen it in every textbook, and I have never heard it once in a session, but today it happened, so I'm very excited about that, guys. And this was the sentence that was dropped down that made history to me. All right, so she said, okay, we do not know if this is a bacterial infection. Therefore, if this is a virus, the antibiotic that we're giving may not work. So, oh, my mind just exploded and I went crazy. I was like, oh my God, this really happened. She said therefore. But it was so tiny of a sentence that I didn't even get to use my my note, right? My symbol. So, bummer. But hey, at least something in those textbooks which I thought I would never use, I was able to use. So the more you are an interpreter, the more you get closer to that chance of seeing stuff in the textbooks, I guess. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. So I cannot tell you anymore. Therefore is in every textbook, but don't make a symbol for that. You'll never hear it. I heard it. I'm a witness, and it happens. All right, so enough of that. Let's get to the good stuff, right? The goodies. Why are you here? You are here because you want to know the 10 must-know gastrointestinal or GI vocabulary terms. Now, before I get into those 10 vocabulary terms, there are some words that I've already defined, and honestly, guys, they are very, very important terms. 3 very important terms for GI vocabulary, which you must know, but they are not included on this video because I've already defined them in some previous videos, which I will let you know what they are, and I will let you know those videos so you can have a look at them. I really thought that it would be a disservice to you guys if I mentioned it again, right? It felt kind of lazy, and well, why am I going to mention this if it's already mentioned in another video, right? I want you to get the most out of these videos, so let's get started. Number 1, GERD. Now that's G-E-R-D. Remember that stands for gastroesophageal reflux disease. And you are going to see the definition for that very important GI vocabulary term in the video titled 10 Must Know Medical Conditions. I'm not sure if I could put another link up here, but I will make sure to do it if I can. And of course, I'll put it in the link in the description as well. So GERD, you must know that one. All right, and the next one is the one that I love, esophagogastroduodenoscopy, or EGD for short, or just plain old endoscopy. And the next one is colonoscopy. Now, esophagogastroduodenoscopy, or EGD, and colonoscopy are two very, very important words as well. And those are defined on the 10 must-know medical tests and procedures, which I will post a link down there and up here somewhere, hopefully. So yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way, guys. If you're not familiar with those words, these are very, very important terms, which you should know. But they were not included on this list because, like I mentioned, I've already defined them in another list, and I wanted to give you some fresh goodies, right? Alright, so let's get to it. All of these definitions were provided by, well, not provided, I just took them, right? From asge.org and from Google, plain old Google. Alright, so let's get started. Word number 1, and that is gastritis. The definition for, I'm sorry, not the definition, the Spanish translation is gastritis. So it is the same. So you guys get a freebie if you speak Spanish. You will, pretty sure you won't forget that word ever if you ever hear it. And the definition is an inflammation of the stomach lining. Now, gastritis is something that happens to a lot of Mexicans. And why does it happen? Well, because we eat a lot of chili peppers. Fun fact about me, I eat 2 serrano peppers for breakfast, 2 serrano peppers for lunch, and if I ever happen to have dinner, you bet I'm gonna eat some chili peppers there. Like, honestly, if I don't eat with chili peppers, I think it's flavorless. Even when I lived in the US, I used to get and in the school lunch, I used to get a whole bunch of like salsas that they gave you. They were nothing but tomatoes, but man, I was pouring the tomatoes on my food. Like, honestly, I don't eat food with salsa. I literally eat salsa with food. Like, if you give me a piece of chicken breast, I'm gonna dip that in a bowl of salsa if I don't eat my 2 serranos and there's a salsa available. So, I have not had any gastritis, luckily, but I know some people. Well, I'm pretty sure that you cannot get gastritis from eating natural foods. They're all natural, but if you eat like the vinegar, what's it called? There's a word for it. Oh, I can't believe I forgot it. But if you eat like pickled, is it? I'm pretty sure it's pickled, but the pickled jalapeno peppers. If you eat those, because of the vinegar, it raises the sugar in the sugar. It raises the acid inside of the stomach, and you are most likely gonna get gastritis. I know people that have had it because a lot of like the salsas for chips have vinegar in them, and a lot of people in Mexico eat them just like that. They don't eat chips with salsa, they eat salsa with chips. And that is one reason why you get it, but there's a whole bunch of reasons why it could happen. You can have H. pylori, if I'm not mistaken. It's a little bacteria that lives in your gut, and it makes you have gastritis. So there's a whole bunch of reasons that you could have inflammation of the stomach lining. Just make sure that you are ready with the word in the target language whenever you hear it. So number 2, bowel movement, and the Spanish translation for this is evacuación intestinal. Now, for the Spanish translation, there it can just be just evacuación. I like evacuación intestinal because it just says intestinal, like intestines. So the people kind of have a clue what it means, because sometimes when you say bowel movement and you say evacuación intestinal, like, the people are probably not going to understand. Well, not everyone. There's some people that are not going to understand what they mean. So having intestinal added on there, I think it gives it like a little bit of a clue, so people that don't know what it is can kind of catch on. But most of the time, well, not most of the time, but there are some times when they're going to tell you what is that, and you're just going to have to say plain old poop, right? Or the doctor will just say poop, right? And I love the definition of the bowel movement. And it says an act of defecation. So just a plain old poop. And I had another really great definition. I guess I'm not using definitions from Google, but there was another definition from Google, and it was just the same. It said, I can't remember what it said, but anyways, just know that a bowel movement is just a plain old poop or dump, whatever you want to call it. But of course, you need to follow register, and evacuación intestinal or movimiento intestinal is good to keep the register up there, right? All right, number 3, colostomy, and in Spanish is colostomía with an accent on the I. Don't forget those very important accents. And what is a colostomy? A colostomy is a surgically created opening of the colon to the abdominal wall, allowing the diversion of fecal waste. So a colostomy is like a hole essentially that is put into the stomach that connects directly to an intestine or to the colon, right? To like the end part of the colon, so that the poop or the fecal matter can get out of there without ever reaching the anus. Now, why do they do that? Well, first of all, there could be an obstruction, like they could have some very, very bad case of constipation that there is no way they're getting anything out of there. So to be able to provide relief, they make this, and they will be able to empty out the colon like that. Another reason is the person could have probably had a colon surgery. So imagine this. Having colon surgery, your colon is all bloody and all full of wounds, right? So the last thing you want is poop in there, right? You can imagine how devastating putting poop on a wound, which is dark and it's warm inside of a body. You can just imagine how, like, that's like the worst thing you could ever do to a wound. So to avoid that and to let the colon heal, they will do a colostomy, so that way the fecal matter can empty out into the bag and it never reaches the colon to help it heal. So that is colostomy. Number 4, constipation and estreñimiento is the Spanish translation for that. The definition for constipation is reduced stool frequency. Stool is a word that you have to write down as well. Or hard stools, difficulty passing stools, or painful bowel movements. So constipation essentially could be due to like the intestines slowing down, or you not drinking enough water, so your poops are hard and they just can't move through as easily, or something is just blocking the poop in the intestine, right? Or also maybe you ate a little bit too much, right, last night, and then today in the morning just all of those contents in your stomach, because like you're usually you're usually used to eating like stuff that makes your colon go like this, or your intestines, but last night you had a very big dinner and now your intestine is getting that big. Now you're gonna have pain from that. So all of those are constipation. All right, number 5, distension and distensión in Spanish. Look at the little accent right there, don't miss it. All right, so, and that's just a note for myself. I don't know where accents go. All right, so a distension is swelling of the abdomen, and this is a word that providers love. They will love to say distension instead of inflammation or swelling. And that's a word that I learned from being a medical interpreter. And I mean, it's so easy, distension, distensión. So it's a word that I learned pretty quickly. But it's a word that I never used before being a medical interpreter. All right, so number 6. And number 6 has 2 words, diverticula, which is diverticulo, and number 8, diverticulosis, diverticulosis, which for Spanish speakers is the same. So no problem with that. And the definition for diverticula. Now, diverticula are individual small pouches that come out in the colon. Now, from all of the sessions that I've had with diverticuli or diverticulum or diverticula, have been that they don't know what causes this, but they think that it's a reduced fiber in the diet causes diverticula to come out, like little pouches, like just come out, like they don't burst, but they're like let's say this is like the colon wall, right? And the colon wall is supposed to be smooth like that, but then all of a sudden a little bulge comes out of there, and then this is the wall right here, right? So a little bulge comes out of there, and well, a little bulge is not supposed to be there. So that is a diverticula. Now, diverticulosis means that you have diverticula in your colon, and that is the condition of having diverticula in your colon. So number 7, diverticulitis, and it's the same, diverticulitis in Spanish. And I just want to mention that we have an MIP, medical interpretation practice video, that talks about diverticula and diverticulitis. I'm not sure what number that is. I should have looked that up, sorry, but I'll post a link in the description as well, so, and up here probably. That way you guys have access right away to that video, and you can go ahead and give it a try, right, with these new words that you have just learned. So what is diverticulitis? Now, diverticulitis occurs when a diverticulum become infected or irritated. Yeah, they can be diverticula or diverticulum. That's what they're called, the little individual pouches. So when food gets in there, it gets in there, and of course food inside or food left anywhere is going to rot, right? If it's not consumed, it's going to rot. So the food stays there, it rots, it creates infections, and they could be bad. The person can get hospitalized if it's bad enough. The person needs IV antibiotics. So it's bad. It's bad to get diverticulitis, and the way that to prevent it, once they have diverticula, the doctors have said that just to eat a lot of fiber just to get things gone, and they don't get stuck in there, and they get stuck in the diverticula and become diverticulitis. So very common condition with GI sessions. That was number 7. And number 8, gastrostomy tube, or just plain old G tube, and in Spanish is sonda gástrica. And please guys, don't ever translate anything that has to do with a G tube, a J tube, what was it, I can't, oh man, I forgot that one. J tube, it's G tube, and nasogastric and G tube. Yes, I remember that one. All right, so whenever they mention tube, please don't, if you're a Spanish speaker, don't interpret that as tube. Interpret that as sonda, which is like the correct term. So what is a G tube? It's a method of enteral feeding in which a tube is surgically or endoscopically introduced to the abdominal wall. Now, enteral feeding just means feeding directly into the stomach. So a G tube is essentially that, is it's like a colostomy, but instead of trying to get the poop out, and being in the colon, This is like a hole in the abdominal wall that goes directly to the stomach, and this is to feed the patient. Now, there are a lot of reasons why a patient needs to be fed like that. One of them being it's a newborn patient that cannot be fed, so the only way that they're going to be able to get food into that patient, if the NG tube is not working, the next thing that they're gonna try is a G tube to get food in the stomach, right, to help that baby survive. But there's many other reasons why a G tube can be performed. All right, gastrostomy. Okay, and number 9, hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoides. Now, hemorrhoids, I was introduced to hemorrhoids when I was a little kid, when I was living in the US, because they had a lot, well, not a lot, but they had commercials about hemorrhoids in the US, and I just asked my dad, I was like, well, what's that for? And then he told me, so I learned that word since I was very little. But I've always been curious about the meaning of words since I was little, so you can imagine, like, now how bad it can really get. All right, so the definition for hemorrhoids is veins around or inside the anus or lower rectum that are swollen and inflamed. These are veins that are like inside of the colon, and they can even come out of the colon. And now, like, you have an exposed vein. Now imagine like poop rubbing up against an exposed vein. I don't know what that feels like, but all of the patients that I've seen, they say that feels pretty bad. It itches, and I mean, I can only imagine like an exposed vein getting rubbed on by poop, like, and imagine if the patient is constipated and it's hard poop, like, you can just imagine the pain that they're gonna be in. So this is a very, very common condition as well. I mean, I learned it from a commercial, so you can bet it is common, and you are going to need to learn the definition and also the translation in your target language. And number 10, polyp, or pólipo in Spanish. And the definition for a polyp is a benign growth involving the lining of the GI tract, non-cancerous tumors or neoplasms. They can occur in several locations in the gastrointestinal tract. That's vocabulary term right there, gastrointestinal tract, but are most common in the colon. They vary in size from less than 1/4 of an inch to several inches in diameter. They look like small bumps growing from the lining of the bowel and protruding into the lumen, bowel cavity. They sometimes grow on a stalk and look like mushrooms. Many patients have several polyps scattered in different parts of the colon. Now, polyp is, like it said there, is just a growth that happens, not necessarily cancer, but the doctors that I've had to do sessions with, they, whenever they do a colonoscopy and they see a polyp, they're gonna remove that polyp, because they say that it may turn into cancer. It might not, but they don't just want to leave it there in case it does turn into cancer. So these are like regular findings that they're gonna find in a colonoscopy, and a lot of people have polyps and they will never know. A lot of people also have diverticula and they will never know unless they do a colonoscopy and they get seen from the inside out. Well, not from the inside out, but like from the inside of their colon, right? So those are the top 10 must-know gastrointestinal vocabulary terms. Remember that GERD and EGD and colonoscopy are also on the list, so you better make sure that you know them and study them. So that is going to be pretty much it. Please leave your questions on the comments and I will answer some of them on the next session. If anything is time sensitive, remember to leave it in the comments. That way I can get to that answer as quick as possible. Remember also that I'll be here every Monday through Friday after work. And don't forget that we are still trying to get the video prepared for the CCHI to 100 likes. I will post a link right here in the description, and we only have 2 more likes to post that into Patreon. We're talking about Patreon. Remember that we have a Patreon page for as little as just $1 of your support. You help motivate us to create much more content, and we give you access to all of the medical practice videos, ad-free, scripts to those videos, answer sheets, vocabulary lists, and much more content. And most importantly, you will forever win a piece inside of our heart. Now, we love all of our Patreons. A big shout out to all of our Patreons. A big shout out to everyone who has bought us a coffee. A big shout out to all of our subscribers and to everyone that has made it to the end of this video. We love you. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you liked the video and have not done so for more content. And don't forget to share. Happy interpreting. Goodbye.